welcome to PMP Success Secrets with Scott. This is episode 2 of our behind the scenes into my live PMP coaching. All right. Now we're going to go through hard questions just like we did last time. And our goal is to make you better, all by focusing on the process, the methods that we solve, the confidence that you have in yourself. And you're going to do that. You're going to build that up inside of you by listening and following how I lead my students and how they take the ball and run with it. All right. So let's jump into it. You're going to learn a ton. Eric, your turn. And Darcy, if you're on. Yes, you get help.
All right. What should the project manager do to ensure that the deliverables are realistic? A week prior to the project kickoff call, a project manager meets with a key project resource to gain a deeper understanding of how complex the project's deliverables are. The resource expresses concern and worry regarding the deliverables. What should the project manager do to ensure that the deliverables are realistic? So we are in initiating, just getting started, haven't had a kickoff call, just getting going.
Okay, so you know you're in initiating because the what? Talk me through it.
Well, we haven't had the kickoff call and we don't really understand the deliverables. So we don't have a scope document. I don't even know that we have a project charter if we don't know the deliverables.
Okay. To gain a deeper so who's coming to us that says they have an issue to get the key project or project manager meets with a key project resource to gain a deeper understanding of how complex the project deliverables are. Okay.
All right, I would take that back. That sounds a lot more like planning.
Okay. Why does it sound like planning?
It sounds like we have our charter and we are diving into understanding the deliverables.
Okay. And we're like, help me, super expert, understand how crazy this stuff is, how complex, like what did I get myself into? So therefore, like your initial instincts was that it was way early because the kickoff call is in initiating. So is there an incongruency or what's going on? When must we think of like the kickoff call happening process group wise? Roughly.
At the end of planning?
Probably around that neighborhood. And kind of like you said, you've done kickoff calls. When did you do kickoff calls? There is no right or wrong. I just want to understand.
Yeah, about 60 days, in our project cycle, about 60 days post, into the planning cycle. And the planning cycle was about 90 days. So it's in the latter 2/3.
Okay. And so like, why is it later and not earlier for you? I'm not passing judgment. I'm trying to get to like the reason why you structured it that way, because I concur with it, but I just want to understand.
Well, I'll just kind of use that example and see if it gets us there. So basically, once the charter was complete or project was assigned, however we want to look at that, it took a certain amount of time to work through architectural drawings and things of that nature. So when we brought everyone together that would be executing the project, we had as much firmed out as possible. And for us, the sweet spot of having enough information to have a kickoff call, but not waiting to the very last minute was right at that 2/3 mark.
Love it. And so like, you're going to I gotta be careful with my words. You're going to like get the contract signed or the charter going, whatever it is, kind of get into the details, bring like the core group together, start flushing it out, like building all these documents that you're talking about, getting enough so that we can bring in the right people and that we really know how we're going. And then boom, it goes out and it's like the ceremonial or like the, hey, let's get to big time work now kind of feel.
Right.
All right. Sweet. So we know we're in planning. We know we're trying to work through the part of, like you said, like architectural drawings and stuff like that. We're trying to get down to the nitty gritty and we're trying to leverage smart people. So sweet. So what's the issue? Like what did this person out there find when they started talking to people?
They found that the deliverables were going to be complex.
And somebody's worried about something.
Somebody's worried about them being too complex.
Okay. So in real life, like you go out there and you start talking to people and they say that back to you, what do you do? Don't look at the answers.
I mean, I go back and look at the deliverables would be the first thing I would look at to try and find out what about them they perceive to be so complex. So probably be a question I would ask while I'm standing there with that individual. But what about them?
One more time, I missed that last part.
While I was having that conversation, or while they were telling me they were worried about it, I might ask them that.
They'd be like, "What's going on, dude? Like, what do you? Thank you for telling us, but like, give me more details." And then they might just, if they give you a little bit, but you're totally not sold or whatever, then what might you do at that point? Just like cancel the project or what?
No. I would probably schedule another sit-down meeting with them so that we could discuss where they saw the complexities based on what our deliverables were.
All right, so we're just going to go deeper. We're going to get to the bottom of this thing. We're not kicking the can down the road. All right, cool. I feel like you and I would work. We would do similarly. So sweet. So let's go into A. Let's see if you like A.
Discuss the resources concerns with the sponsor and modify the project charter. That seems aggressive.
Okay.
B.
What about aggressive? Like what part of it is aggressive? There's two halves.
Well, the first aggressive point is they went straight to the sponsor without really having a good understanding of what the complexity concern is and or if there's a fix.
Understood.
So the sponsor is going to eat their lunch because that's the first question he or she's going to ask is, give me more information and how are you going to fix it? And you don't
think
know.
That's reasonable. And then the second half of it, if that first half was gone, would you like the second half?
No.
What do you not like about the second half?
Well, again, you don't know how you're going to need to modify, or even if you're going to need to modify the project.
Okay, so if you do need to modify the project, because I mean, like as you get out there and you start designing stuff or figuring out what you're going to deliver and like the scope and schedule, I imagine there's going to be ups and downs of like can do, can't do. Like it's like a living thing we're trying to nail down. Would we go back and change the charter, or it would just inform how we develop something else?
I guess my answer would be it depends. It depends on how complex they are.
Sure. So if we come out, there's like a critical failure in the game where we're walking into literal like can't do neighborhood and it's an explosion, we may have to scratch this like existence of a project and go back and reform it, like cancel this one, redo a charter based on something else, or let's just call that 1 out of 100. But if it's like this is what happens, we get into the nitty gritty and we just got to massage and work through, it might help inform like the development of what kind of documents that are normally created as we're breaking down scope, schedule, cost, stuff like that.
Ooh, I know there's an answer. I just don't know it.
There is an answer. It's cool. We'll get it. So cool. So keep going. So A, you don't like. I'm cool with that. Go to B.
Note the concerns in the issue log to review at a later date. As long as that later date is tomorrow, B would be fine.
What does it say? Does it say later date meaning tomorrow?
It doesn't tell me.
Okay.
So I would be a little concerned that B makes me feel like we're just brushing this individual off.
Okay. And do you think is it technically an issue now? I don't know. Is it an issue? Like,
not necessarily.
What would it be considered if we were technically talking about? What would it might be considered? What might it be considered?
It's a risk, obviously. We just don't know the severity of it.
Yeah. We don't know if this person's just like scaredy cat or like prescient, like knows what we're getting ready to walk into. So yeah, okay. So do you like B or no?
I do not.
Okay. C.
C, perform a feasibility study, like in this one a little bit,
All right.
and then assess the results. So C is definitely the front runner at this point.
Okay. Because it does.
Because it does take action on defining these complexities and whether or not they are a concern.
Okay. All right. It gives us something to work on. All right, cool. D, maybe D wins.
Identify threats and preventative actions by conducting a risk assessment. So now I'm going to have to figure out the differences between D and C.
So you like C and D. C and D
Yep.
is in the
Yep.
neighborhood. All right. Conducting a risk assessment. Yeah.
I think I like D more. I got really excited about C. I like D.
Got really excited about C. All right. So what made you got really excited about C, but you must have got really excited about D. What made you really excited about it? It's got a lot of words.
Well, A and B were so bad.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you like about D? Like, how does that? So if we said, hey, this person, I'll just frame it up, and we'll just act like D is the only thing that's in this world.
Yep.
To summarize, we just kicked off. We're getting ready to kick the project off next week. We're nailing down our plans and figuring out what we're actually going to deliver. So we're working through our deliverables. Like you as the project manager went out there, talked to somebody who's super duper important. They said, hey man, I don't want to throw water on you, but some of these deliverables, we're in deep trouble. We can't do them. Like they're not realistic. Like we just don't have, I don't know, the capability. We don't have the machines. We don't have the people. We don't have something. It's just, we can't do it. I just want to let you know, I like you. I don't want you to get, caught in a bear trap. And you go like, oh shit. Okay. And then your answer to that would be, hey, I'm going to go back and identify threats and preventative actions by conducting a risk assessment.
Yes.
Okay. Feels good. Right? That feels good? Feels good?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, cool. And you could have also said, minus that bad thing, all right, cool. I'm going to go back out and I'm going to perform a feasibility study so that I can understand things. And I'm going to assess the results from there. Which one feels better?
I'm back to arguing C and D again.
Oh no. We may never get out of this question. Who knows? Just joking, dude. All right. So you're on C and D. Let's hold on for 1 second, Eric. You're doing great.
Yeah.
Darcy, thoughts?
I guess initially I'm just looking at C and thinking that, I guess to me, feasibility study means like you're spending a lot of money and resource to try to figure out the deliverables for the project, which have already been defined. So that seems like it should have been done a long time ago. And then you're going to go back and do that based on one important resources thoughts on this project.
Okay, so you're going to spend a lot of money, a lot of time to do what? What is the feasibility study?
Yeah, it sounds like you're trying to redefine deliverables.
But like, what does it give you? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. You're trying to define the deliverables with the feasibility study, but that doesn't really make sense.
You're trying to define what the deliverables are with the feasibility study?
Or whether they're achievable. Is that
okay? That part of it. Keep that part. You're looking at it to say, is this achievable?
Is this achievable? Yeah.
Yeah. Good job. All right. And so based on that and what you thought, you like which answer?
So I kind of like, well, maybe it almost sounds like the two C and D are almost the same, like as a feasibility study, almost the same as a risk assessment, but maybe.
The only thing I'm thinking now, though, is it doesn't mention anywhere in the question that these are threats. It just mentions that the deliverables are complex. So does that push us towards C?
A threat would be what?
A risk?
Yeah, with a negative face on it. Like it could be an opportunity where it's like, dude, we're gonna walk into $1 bajillion. That's awesome. Or we're gonna get hit with a hammer. So yeah, the negative risk. So do we need to identify more risks, or do we know about the risks? This risk.
Sounds like this guy knows his risks, and maybe having that word like the feasibility is looking to whether those deliverables are achievable, which in the question it asks, are the deliverables realistic? So maybe that's.
Huh. So you said the question asks, like, what should the project manager do to ensure that the deliverables are realistic? So that's like, at the end of the day, whatever path we go down, or C or D, at the end of it, we have to have the realization of it's either realistic or it's not. Therefore, you like, Darcy, which one do you like?
I guess I'm now leaning to C.
Oh man. And so like would D, that's good. That's good. All right. And so D says identify threats and preventative actions by conducting whatever. Okay. I'm cool with this. All right. So Eric, you are on the deciding side of this question. What do you want to do?
Let's go with C.
Let's see. Yay. Yeah. So that's good. All right. Good job. Got there, my friend. I like it. And so sometimes when we go through this, we're like we just got to make sure that we answer the question asked. And so I don't know about you, but often when I get these questions, I want to fix it. Like, I'm like, do this, do that. Like, I'm like, oh, I want to fix it. But sometimes it's like, all right, what are you telling me you want to figure out? They want to say, is it realistic? Is what this guy said true, that we can't do this thing? All right. So let's go back. Let's take the things he says we can't do, deliverables, and say, is it feasible or not? Is it realistic or not? Can we do it or not? And then I'd like a little bit more, like assess the results and share them, or, I'd like some more details there. But yeah, I want to be like laser focused on like what this person brought up to us. So okie dokie. Okie dokie. Anybody? I would choose B. Natasha would choose B. Is this the same one?
Yeah, but I definitely see why you would choose a feasibility study as I would.
Okay, walk us through B. I apologize for not seeing it real time. Why
no,
B?
It's fine.
What was the logic that got you to B that you got off of through later, or maybe you didn't? What's up?
Well, going back, the logic that kept me from choosing C as an answer was, I think it was Eric that mentioned that you're going to incur costs to the project by doing the feasibility study and resources. And so I went back and forth. Well, the resource is only expressing his concerns regarding the deliverables, but if the feasibility study will account for, all-encompassing issues, the economical, the technical, the legal, all aspects of the project. So I went back and forth between B and C.
Okay. Are there any of these that don't cost money? A, B, C, D, F, G.
Well, that don't cost money? Well, I would say A, B, and D wouldn't cost money. Documenting the threats, identify. Oh, well.
I don't want to ask how much you make, but theoretically, if a project manager is out there, do they get paid?
Yes.
Okay, that's correct. That's not the hard question. And so, like, if their time is being compensated through monetary means or jelly beans, however they get paid, doing any of these things technically costs us money.
That's
right? Technically. Now, I don't know how much a feasibility study, if we're going to do it internal, external, I don't know what the deal is. They're not very specific here. We don't have a baseline yet, probably, because he says, or he or she is trying to understand how complex the deliverables are. At that point, like if we gotten down to the bottom where we nail it down, have a baseline and stuff like that, my hope would be, I mean, I hate to be in the hope world, but like we would have understood that. It feels like we're getting to that point. So interesting. But I do like just be careful with like, oh, it's going to cost a ton of money, unless it says we're going to perform a feasibility study that costs $17,000 million or something like that. If it ain't there, it ain't there. Like the word. So sweet. And then the issue log, it's technically not an issue till we know that it's the person's real. And then like, oh, we have an issue that we can't do what we say we're going to do. Yep. Cool.